My name is Ray Lambert. I'm with the Floresville Economic Development. Today is April 9th, 2018, 6:32 p.m. Here to establish a quorum. We have one of our board, Ray Gonzalez, Sherry Castillo, Danny Tejada, Ben Reed, Marisa Jimenez. We have our city administrator, Henrietta Turner, our executive director, Tommy Baker. We have some guests tonight. Assistant to the comptroller is Christine Cantu. We have Mr. Bonnie Smalls here with us tonight, and Mr. Bert Pfizer, and we have our attorney standing in for Teresa and Ms. Megan Sati. Very well. Would you leave the invitation, please?
Yes. As we gather here again to do the city's business, Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us. First and foremost, we thank you for all your blessings. We ask that you help us to do the best we can to run the city and to move Floresville forward. And we ask that you help us to keep in mind that what we do here is for the citizens of Floresville. Thus, give us the wisdom to be able to do the things that are both beneficial and affordable for them. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. The pledge, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Texas pledge, please.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Different ways, right?
Do we have any citizens' comments? Greg?
No, thank you.
Okay. No one? Very well. We're going to move along into old business. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes from March 20th in our regular board meeting? Any questions or additions, corrections in those minutes?
I have a couple of comments or questions on item, let me look at that again, on the personnel committee item, which is A under whatever number that is, I can't see it. Anyway, old business A, okay. I thought we just mentioned the March 22, 18 date and before the end of the fiscal year. We did not have a precise date, actually, as I recall.
That is correct. We said we would review, the next review will take place in July, and the second meeting towards the end of the fiscal year. So if that could be corrected, instead of putting an actual date on there, the 30th and the 31st.
Because I said 31st.
Right.
Okay.
And as a reminder, our next meeting will be, for the Personnel Committee, will be April the 23rd.
And since I kind of have the floor, I guess I have another comment to make, and that's on item 12A, I believe. Let's see. That, and it relates back also to item 10 something or other, and this has to do with the event center parking lot. I don't recall us ever deciding whether, in essence, we had a formal request from the city to provide the amount they were asking for, and that is the full coverage for both materials and labor on the event center parking lot. But more importantly, under the discussion and possible action items, I thought we had an action item there to actually allocate or to contribute not to exceed $250,000 for the whole project. And I don't see it anywhere in there.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the recording of the minutes, old minutes either, but that is the way I remember it also.
Fred, in the middle of the second paragraph, I think,
Where are you at, Tony?
Yeah.
on that same item,
Which item?
the one that you just said, event center parking lot.
He's on 10 bullet point 3, I think.
Yeah, for one, but the more important one really is the 112A, I believe.
Oh,
Because-
okay, maybe.
But they relate, in other words, what I'm saying, first of all, on the front end of it, I don't recall us having a formal request from the city to contribute the amount of money we're talking about here.
Right.
And then secondly, and I think very importantly too, we did have an action item that in essence allocated not to exceed $250,000 towards the project to include all kinds of work on the project.
And back on the previous page, with the second paragraph, the first being ADA grant, and then event center, I had,
Yeah, but Tom, I think where he has it, that's under new business, I think he's more concerned that it's under the action item, not so much
Yeah.
under new business.
yeah, I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
We actually had a resolution that went to council to max
No,
out
I
at 250,000.
understand.
So I'll do the action item on
Yeah.
12.
Okay.
On item number 9, Mr. Baker, discussion regarding the Adipose Health Center.
Yes, sir.
It mentions in front of the Texas Veterans Home. I don't think we were that specific that it had to be in front, it just had to be part of that property of the Veterans Park. This sounds kind of like it's being specific.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the park, all of the
Right.
park is in front of, but
True.
that's what I was trying to get across, but I see where somebody could
Say it's gonna be right here.
say, yeah, okay.
There's a class that can be designated as lot X, lot, whatever it is, lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, and 5. So he can correct that to that. That's a good idea.
Or whatever that park's called.
Well, the main thing is to identify the lots in question.
Yes.
Any other corrections, anyone? Fred?
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes with the corrections from Mr. Gonzalez on the personnel committee, with Sherry on the personnel committee, and then with Mr. Gonzalez on 12A. They're not to exceed.
I second it.
Did you mention number 9?
You mentioned number 9.
And number 9, just lot numbers versus specific locations.
Very well, a motion by Bennett, second by Sherry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Ben, do we have a treasurer's report review, March 2018 financial report? Christine, now they get you.
You want Christine to give it, and you want to give it?
You just want to say what we kind of talked about, and then I can give it.
Sure. So I had given the report, it's the same, I put everything on there. I did talk to Ben about a check that was deposited March 15th, and it actually got deposited back into full cash, but we went ahead and transferred that back into your account, so I went ahead and talked to him and let him know, so that was just a few days. So that will be posted on April, and that's for the total amount of February and March is,
Yeah. So February, March, sales tax was posted
yeah.
together.
We took it to the bank and they put it back in full cash.
Yeah.
So I caught it when I was doing the bank reconciliation, and we went ahead and put that back in, transferred it back into your account. But you won't see it until,
It was deposited where the first time?
it went back right back to us in full cash.
Okay.
Yes, but it was transferred right away. Connie took care of that, and Margaret approved that. And also, Ben wanted to spin down kind of the projects that y'all were contributing to. We did is I made this spreadsheet. It's really simple. If y'all want to add anything to it, or anything, y'all have comments. I just put the project names, maybe like a start date, completion date, the contribution, and any additional comments that y'all have. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it around. I can email it to Mr. Baker. If there's any changes that y'all wanna see, y'all want something added, just let me know, and I can go ahead and bring that to the next meeting.
So we talked about doing a cover sheet where instead of just giving a full-on report, we don't need to have 299 for red things at the bottom. But we have a spin down, just kind of tells us each project we have, what amount we have. So say we have 30,000 set aside for the help with the signages or new business to redo. We know what we have, what's been spent, what we have allocated to spend the rest of the year. So as we're talking with other people and entrepreneurs and business people in the community, it's easier for us to read, it's easier for Tommy to read as well. And then we can add on our new reports for this upcoming year. So in all that, I just want to have a line item, you know, just if we could add on to it of what we all think that we want on this sheet, because we can add everything as far as, you know, what we own in property versus what we have cash on hand, instead of sometimes it's lumped together and we don't know exactly what we have. So instead of when we're making these decisions moving forward, we have a better idea as far as, you know, how we're going to allocate that money and so on and so forth.
Will we have an idea of the completion date?
We just been working on it, so as soon as we get everyone's feedback, to make sure, like, you know, everyone on the board, we give everyone an opportunity to say what they want on that, then we should have it by our next board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
May I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
But Tommy will get with her to get with all of them.
Yeah, one of the things, and I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to talk
Yeah.
about it, but, you know, in the past, we've talked about having some kind of simple to read,
Yeah,
one pager.
yeah, that's what this was.
That's what they-
Okay, no, but not just the projects,
Yeah,
but where we are, how much we've got, what kind of funds we intend
Yeah.
to.
so this will help us with the projects, the one-page reader, and then the other one, once we have all the projects, we'll break down with our budget on the funds, and that way just a simple one-page reader when I have to flip through pages.
Great, thank you.
One point I made before, and just so everybody has clarity here, and I think everybody does, but reiterating that the 3 million is obviously a fund balance, it's not our cash balance.
Yes.
Before, we had some confusion with using a appraisal, if you will, of marketable properties that we had mixed in with the actual cash. And I think it's important to distinguish between the two.
Well, I hear that every meeting that we don't, this is land value and cash value. So we can't distinguish what that is at this point?
That's why we're trying to do that one pager, so Tommy will be working on that, to figure out what of that property of that 3 million is cash on hand that we own in property value versus what we have.
So how long have we operated like this, not knowing what is in the?
Brought it up every meeting for
Cash
pre-development.
on hand in here
Yeah.
is, I transferred, I don't know, $140,000 to now that it's just a little over 2 million in money market.
Okay.
But a better breakdown of like, so we have 1.9 million in cash, but we have 3.1, what is that versus property versus that?
I mean,
About
the land's
1.2.
an asset, the cash is real dollars.
Yeah.
About 1.2 in land
Property.
value?
I think it's important to distinguish that and
And have a better,
the land needs to be put in at a very realistic, conservative value.
yeah.
And also, I don't know if it's there already, but to show what's uncommitted, if there's such a term, so that we can tell what.
Yeah, so this 1.9, and that's what we'll make it forward, so that 1.9, it doesn't really look like on hand, we committed in 227,000 for the parking lots, 50,000 for the sidewalks. So as we go moving forward, and like the city comes and says, hey, we need $500,000 to this, it will, you know, what does it look like, what are our goals that we have during our budget workshop to meet our goals? And then we can come to workshop with them and say, you know, get on the same page moving forward.
But there's the service fees that we have for the several loans, or those.
Yeah, and that'll be on the thing, so it shows, you know, what we're paying towards the event center every year, what we're paying towards that.
So that we know what we're really dealing with, and that makes sense.
And it'll help us move forward, I just got the timeline, so we can start having our budget workshop for this next year.
Thank you.
And not to interrupt, we were talking, but we've also been joined by Councilman Juan Ortiz for the record, please.
Thank you, by the way, for doing.
Any more questions about the treasurer's report?
Cheers, Tommy.
You know, I think it's just an observation, but on the sales tax collected, we've seen in the last 4, 5, 6 months that we're going over the amount from last year, so that by, you know, an overall 5%, 4.44%. So we're building sales tax, not reducing it or losing it.
But it also shows that we're appreciating our values with the decline of Eagle Ford, this local area, we're still moving forward, which I think is a very positive comment for the city of Floresville.
We're increasing by about 9% every month. We're staying ahead.
Any other comments or questions on the treasurer's report? There be none. Item number 6, old business treasurers, committee reports, please. Personnel.
No report at this time until we have our meeting.
Very well, thank you. And that time has been discussed already. We have a budget finance audit.
I don't have anything for your budget, however, we are at the next meeting, the council will be selecting their audit committee members, and sometime in May, the auditor should have, early May, he shall have his first draft numbers, and I can invite whomever you select from the budget committee to come to our audit committee meeting. They go through their preliminary numbers before they put it in the vote.
We'd appreciate it, thank
And
you.
then, Mr. Baker, your question in reference to, he asked a question about what it would cost, and they said it will cost probably what it cost not last year, but the year before, but they won't have those numbers until they see the time.
And what's that called? That's gonna, for a report, what do you call it? The meeting?
Audit, it's an audit committee meeting for the city of Floresville. It requires by city charter that 3 council members be appointed by the council, and they are doing that on Thursday.
Is there a limit to how many people we can have from FTC?
The limit would be, I would refer to your attorney, but I post that meeting because it's the audit committee, it's up to you if you have a quorum. Yeah. But other than that, it will be a posted meeting for the
What
city.
time's that meeting on Thursday?
They normally have their meetings at 6. But they're gonna appoint the committee
Yeah.
on Thursday,
Oh.
and then, once they appoint the committee, then I can set up with the auditors in May.
Do we need to
have
like make a
meeting.
motion to appoint somebody, or do we just, you?
By charter, I have to have 3 members by our
Yeah.
city charter. I'm inviting you because you're part of our
Yeah.
audit person, and he's gonna go over some preliminary numbers. And if you want to ask him any questions about your numbers, you can ask him at that time.
Do y'all want to send some people now, or do you want to wait until later, who's available? What do you prefer?
I would prefer if you let me know who I'm gonna go call and hunt down to come to the meeting, so
Yeah.
if you're gonna say, Ms. Castillo, I have her on speed dial, I could call her to tell her to remind her about the meeting. Of course, we always invite Mr. Baker to come to the meeting.
But he doesn't count as part of the quorum, so if Ms. Castillo and Ben were to go,
Yeah.
we're fine?
You're fine,
Okay.
because it's just a quorum, but it is a publicly posted meeting for that purposes.
And then, if Mr. Gonzalez decides to go, we'll have to add one. Add one.
He can go in my place.
No.
You're
So
very-
you have experience, okay. We're gonna skip over here, don't mind, item number 8, the immediate executive director's report, and go into, out of order a little bit, into new business, is that legal? That's all right. Okay, thank you. Item number 9, and then we'll come back to the executive officer report. Discussion of possible action item. Mr. Burfester, will you go ahead and just introduce yourself and say what?
We'll be glad to, Mr. Chairman. To members, Chairman, your Executive Director, and guests, we appreciate your kind invitation to being here this evening. I am a member of the Children's Bereavement Team of South Texas. We're a small nonprofit that was established some 22 years ago in San Antonio through the need of embracing children in a loss, whether that be a sibling, whether that be a brother, sister, or whether that would be a parent or a member of their family. We provide support services to the child as well as to the parent and or caregiver. We were called upon when the tragedy occurred in your community, in our community, on November the 5th. We received a very gracious embrace from your member with Ben, and we have been providing supports both to Floresville Independent School District as well as Livonia. Our goal is to provide the full cadre and depths of support that we have established in San Antonio and have also replicated in the Rio Grande Valley.
We were recently awarded a funds from the Victims of Crime Act, along with Floresville ISD and some other partners, to empower those services. To do that, we need space. And the space that we have identified that beautifully that will support our needs after some modest renovations is at 140 Paloma. A lot owned by Henry and his wife, a building and a lot owned by Henry and his wife that our friend, who I will introduce in a moment, is completing buying that property on our behalf, where we'll be a tenant along with UTSA. Twofold this evening, so as you listen along with us, know that there's two things that we invite your consideration of. First is your kind invitation into our community. We are beginning our processes to educate families and those throughout this county of the services that soon will be coming into your city. We would love to have that be understood and find meaningful and purposeful. Additionally, a key component, as Dr. Sokol will be sharing with you, a key component of our therapeutic supports are play therapy. We have sand therapy through expressive arts. Children just don't come in and say, my heart is breaking because I lost someone important to me, or my heart is breaking and I no longer feel safe at home or at school or in my community. It's a process that's done gradually and oftentimes through play therapy. I bring that up because the other thing that we would like to be inviting your kind consideration of, the building that has been identified is phenomenal, but it has a very narrow setback from the back door. A key component of our therapy, as you can appreciate, children coming in and talking and sharing and discussing something that's very close to their heart and very troubling. Recreation in play therapy is an important component of that. So twofold, one of the things we will be inviting discussion and dialogue, and I appreciate the timeliness of your meeting, is we would like consideration for a bit more space behind that property. We are planning for a phenomenal playground area for the children to enjoy before therapy as well as during therapy when that could occur. And we can't quite accommodate that with a 15-foot setback from the property. So with that, I'd first like to invite the Executive Director of Children's Bereavement, Marion Sokol. I first apologize to you. We have a phenomenal PowerPoint, but through the marvels of technology, all it takes is one cord, which I don't have. So I apologize to you, but Marion will very much, in her words, kind of describe to you the services that will be created at the center to benefit the community. Yes, Tom?
Bert, are we still talking about FAD, 15 feet of FADC property?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
And everyone should have a plat that shows that and also the location of the proposed health and dental clinic.
And thank goodness for printed copies, because that was in my PowerPoint. So thanks for the printed copy. Mary, and would you like for me to come go beside Steve?
Thank you all for being so kind, for having us here and being so gracious this evening. I don't want to take a lot of your time, but I would like you to understand who we are and what we do. And we have some folders here. As Bert mentioned, Children's Bereavement Center was founded in San Antonio almost 22 years ago. And it was actually started by a graduate student who had lost her brother at age 12. I grieved a lot. She was in a class where she was asked by a professor to write a paper on a service that didn't exist. She wrote the concept of the bereavement center, and after that it's sort of all history. It grew in San Antonio, became very beloved, and started to the point that they outgrew the churches they were in, they moved into a house, and now we have a beautiful 10,000 square foot center with art rooms, therapy rooms, and it just really helps fulfill the mission, which is to serve the child, the family, and the community. Our center now serves over 1,200 children a year right in San Antonio. Last February, we opened in the Rio Grande Valley. We're serving more than 200 children there, and that's not counting all of the parents and the grandparents that come. Work with very complex cases. Many times we have children who had a tragedy occur where there are no parents who can no longer care for them. So we help the family deal with custody issues. We have people who advise to that. Most of all, though, our mission is to provide individual counseling, help for the family, and help for the community. So we were called here by the school districts and of course responded. This is what we do. Have 7 master's and doctoral level therapists on staff. We have a cadre of volunteers. Tonight at our center, it's Monday night, so this is chronic illness night. We're to the point there where we have groups that we can dedicate certain nights toward chronic illness, death, sudden death, death by suicide, death by homicide. Tonight at our center, in addition to all the children, we'll probably have 50 people there. The children, their parents, volunteers from the community who are trained, interns from the university, and of course our licensed counseling staff. We do individual counseling, we do group supports, we're on call for the schools. We also have camps for children. So we're hoping this summer to take a number of children who want to go to camp, whose parents feel that could help them, up to our camp that we share with Herman Sons in Comfort, Texas. 4-day overnight camp, healing circles, a lot of healing and therapy, but also zip lines and swimming. And one of the best parts of all of this is there is no cost to the families. We're very much a 501c3 charity. We fundraise. Annual budget now is just about $2 million a year. We're very much loved in the community, and we're just voted Nonprofit of the Year by the San Antonio Business Journal last year. And I say that only because I want you to know we want to help. We have no agenda except to come here and to help the children. And I was down here that week after the shooting at the church over in Sutherland Springs. And it's really still difficult for those families. 4 of the families are coming now to our center. We have 2 more who want to come. Time's an issue. Gasoline's an issue. We've already offered vouchers to provide gas if that's, but they really need something here close to home. And we've decided that Floresville, after working with Ben and the terrific team, the support here, that this is what we want to do. And so, of course, my board of directors, I have a 22-member board, extremely supportive. And of course, the first thing was, first is within our mission, and it is. And secondly, where are we going to find the money? The VOCA Victims of Crime Act had told us that they would provide funding. It's been a 4-month process. We also had VOCA funding already for both the Valley Center and San Antonio. Those funds are dedicated only for children who experience homicide. We have probably 50 children right now in San Antonio that we're working with from those families. But here in Wilson County, they have designated the entire county to be eligible for a recipient of the VOCA funding. That doesn't mean we're going to get rich quick. In fact, we're not going to get rich at all. They fund only by reimbursement. So our nonprofit will upfront the costs of lease, of salaries, of supplies, and I'm really anxious. I wish you could have seen the slides, because when people think of a bereavement center, they might think of a dark place where a child goes to cry. It's not at all that. We have a glass window living room that's beautiful. We have a drama studio, a music room. The children at our center learn to express, and it's not always with words. The one show and tell I brought tonight, and I'll pass this around, is a picture done by a twin, a little boy. His dad was killed, and he and his twin came for therapy. The one little boy talked a lot about what happened. The second little boy didn't talk at all. And after about 4 weeks, he went over and he picked up a piece of paper, yellow paper, and he drew what we call a grief circle. And it says here, grief circle. And this is what he put in it. Why? And at the bottom he put, inside out is how I felt in the inside. So this is the kind of work that we plan to do. Part of our healing environment is also that there's an outdoor area. As Bert mentioned, 15 feet is hardly, you know, far enough for a boy to kick a ball. And so we plan to have a playscape and healing gardens, and I think you'll be really surprised. Mr. Whitmire, who owns the building now, has been very kind, but he does want to sell the building. So we had a little bit of a dilemma. How